In a market full of budget monitors that cut corners and professional monitors that cost more than the camera itself, why should anybody care about these? And that is what I thought when I first seen the Axon Cineview M7 and M7 Pro monitors. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know from real world use and tell you why this might just be the best value monitor ever made. I believe there are two main reasons what make the Axon Cineview M7 and M7 Pro monitors stand out. Reason number one is all to do with the Accsoon ecosystem. Now, if you are not familiar, Accsoon have been around for a while now in and around the market sector of wireless transmission. And up until this point, they have pretty much got you covered with their product line, whether you're on a budget or you want something really professional and well made. That is all except one key area. What if you did not want to use an ISO or Android device or a tablet as your monitor? Well, that is where the M7 Pro comes in. And it is really important that Accsoon nail this and get it right, as they do not want to fall at the last hurdle. And the second reason is more to do with its feature set and how it sits in the market versus competitors. All that will become clear a little bit later, but for now, let me show you what these monitors are all about. But just before we got any further into this video, I just wanted to mention, for transparency, I have an ongoing relationship with Accsoon. I've done multiple sponsored videos with them in the past, and although I will be as unbiased as I possibly can, I just wanted everyone to know that. I do use Accsoon's equipment throughout my professional work life all the time, and I think they're great, but that does not change any opinions I say in this video, as they will all be 100% honest. Right, so both the M7 and M7 Pro are both 7-inch touchscreen monitors which share the same touchscreen 1920 by 1080 LCD display. This display comes in at 1000 nits with a 1000:1 contrast ratio, but what really sets it apart is just how colour accurate this display is. Accsoon take every individual display and colour calibrate in factory, creating a special look for each individual display, which is then loaded onto the monitor and shipped out to you. Now, this is extremely rare at products at around this price point, and especially when it comes to filmmaking monitors. This can be comparable to the likes of what Apple are doing with those MacBook Pros. Another thing that you will notice as soon as you power on this display is the viewing angles. Accsoon claim 176 degrees both horizontally and vertically, which is actually really useful in a monitor like this, as it is often mounted on a camera or in one person's hands while other clients and crew members view from the side. Accsoon also mentioned that this has a high transparency display with something called a DXC coating. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with this. I did do a little Google, and what it basically means, it is just anti-reflective and should kill most reflections. And what I will say is when you are using these M7 monitors outdoors, whatever this technology is, it definitely works. I would say that this 1000 nit brightness monitor becomes more viewable than some of my over 1500 nit monitors, just because of the lack of reflections. When it comes to I/O, you've pretty much got everything you will need. An SDI in and out, a HDMI in and out, USB-C 3.0 with SSD support, more on that a little bit later, an SD card slot, and two 3.5mm jacks, one for headphone and one for microphone. The body is manufactured from pretty much one solid aluminium piece, which is really good and feels amazing in the hands. There is also an optional cage that you can purchase that allows for a sun hood to be mounted. For battery power, we have two MPF batteries that mount on the back of the monitor, and these are hot swappable. We also have a DC input for powering from the likes of a V-mount battery. And finally, we have two extra USB-C ports, totaling 3 on the body of these monitors. You have the first one I mentioned, which is the USB-C 3.0, and then you have a PD in for power delivery, for powering the monitor, and you also have a 5V out for powering accessories, and you can even add extra juice to your mirrorless cameras. By far one of the most impressive things about these monitors is their cross-conversion capabilities. The M7 monitors accept an input in both HDMI and SDI of 4K up to 60 frames per second. And what is really good is they also output the same 4K 60 frames per second via the SDI and HDMI outs. But it doesn't just stop there, because inside the menus in the camera you can also choose the outputs in frame rate and resolution. You can choose anywhere from 24 frames per second all the way up to 60, and I can see this being really useful in both cinematic and broadcast workflows. So in Axsoon's marketing for the M7 monitors, they label them as smart production monitors. And you may be asking, what makes a monitor smart? Well, inside they are basically mini computers. They have a CPU and a GPU just like a phone or a tablet. In fact, the M7 monitors run on an Android-based operating system. When you power on the devices just as normal, they will boot straight into the Accsoon C app, which, for anyone not familiar, many times on this channel before, I've always said this is the most feature-rich app available for any kind of smart device, so I think this is actually a good thing. It can be a little bit confusing at first if you accidentally leave the app and find yourself on this device that looks like a phone, but it's a production monitor, but you quickly get used to it and you can lock yourself inside a single app. And because it runs on an Android-based operating system, this opens up a world of possibilities. Axsoon have already released an SDK for developers to take it and develop any apps they like. It comes pre-installed with VLC video player on the device, meaning that you can pretty much just play any video format you like. In theory, you could also load any Android app onto this, even a game. I tested it and it does work. At first, I was a little bit unsure about this concept of running it on an Android operating system, but when I got my hands on it and started testing it, I actually think it's pretty genius. If a community picks this up, people start working together on developing apps with the SDK, honestly, the possibilities are endless. My brain runs away down. Maybe someone can make a ProRes RAW capturing app. Maybe someone can do a little hack that gets us a Blackmagic RAW app. But you're thinking of all the little cool features that can be added in future and give us more functionality from both our camera and this monitor we have bought. I think it's a really great idea. So let's talk about the differences from the M7 to the M7 Pro. Simply put, the M7 Pro has a built-in wireless receiver, meaning that it has 4 antennas that screw in just along the top, where the M7 does not, and it can slot right into Axsoon's ecosystem, meaning that all their previous wireless transmitters can connect and send a video signal to this. It works really similar to what we have seen from the likes of Teradek, but at just a much more affordable price point. The real benefit of doing it this way and building in the receiver to the monitor is simply saving rigging up, putting a cage and rods and a V-mount to power both a receiver and the monitor. It just allows you to attach one battery to one device and keeps it super lightweight and nimble. So that then leaves the M7 of being a more standalone monitor, something that you would mount on the camera rig itself, which ties perfectly into its other feature, which is camera control. As it stands at the moment, I have only just been given the update to allow me to control my Sony cameras, which I have been testing out on my FX3, so far so good. But I'm told that there is more cameras coming in the future, and this just adds extra features to an already incredibly feature-rich monitor. And both the monitors also have built-in Wi-Fi, which opens up the capabilities of camera to cloud. Just like you would on a phone or a tablet, you just pull down from the top, connect to a Wi-Fi source, whether that's hotspotting from your smartphone or you're in a location which has Wi-Fi, and then you can share files directly to the likes of Frame.io, which is built inside of the Axon C. You can go to Dropbox, and you can even directly live stream from these devices. So any platform that uses an RTMP or STR, which basically means every single platform you would want to live stream to. And earlier I mentioned that USB-C 3.0 supports SSD, and it also has an SD card slot, and this is because, yes, these monitors are also recorders. They don't record any majorly heavy file formats as of now on the firmware I'm using. We just have H.264 and H.265. That is though in the full 4K 60, so you think of more of these as proxy files or just something you may want to share on socials, as the bit rates are nothing crazy. But again, just more features to an already incredibly feature rich monitor. So now I believe we've covered all the major features of the M7 and M7 Pro. Let me tell you about my experience using them on real world projects. So the first thing you will notice is just simply the image quality of the display. Myself and multiple crew members all complimented how clear and how much clarity was in the display. I think this comes from a combination of the viewing angles, the colour accuracy, and I think it's really important how it rejects reflections. So when you're outdoors and people are looking from the side and they don't get bad reflections and the viewing angles still shows the accurate colours, it's just not what we're used to seeing on most monitors. The next thing that stood out to me was battery life. I use a Blackmagic Video Assist a lot, not necessarily for capturing files with, but more just as a viewing monitor. I just really like how it functions and the false colour, etc. But let me tell you, that thing chews through batteries like a microwave on AA's. With the M7, it is a totally different scenario. I'm guessing this is to do with this device being made like a tablet or a smartphone, meaning that it's probably got a silicon chip inside and it is really low power consumption. The M7 only weighs 467 grams, meaning it is half the weight of a Blackmagic Video Assist, which really kind of brings it into the same weight as a 5-inch monitor. The design is really slim also, so it does not get in the way as much as big chunky monitors. So for the first time in my experience, I didn't really mind mounting this 7-inch monitor on my rig, as it's pretty much the same weight as the smaller ones. This is a good time to bring in that optional cage though. The cage is made just as you'd expect. It is like any cage you would get from any of the cage manufacturers. It's solid, full of mounting points, and really well designed. It hugs the body and fits perfectly. I think though that this is made more for the M7 Pro than the M7. And while we're touching on using it as a director's monitor, let's talk about the wireless performance. If you have used any of Axsoon's products before, then this is the exact same, as it is made to fit into Axsoon's ecosystem. So the transmitter will be one of the old Accsoon transmitter. This is just the receiver. But what I can tell you is using it on real projects, it is rock solid. No kind of dropouts. I won't lie, I didn't go in extreme distances, you know, I wasn't doing car to car or anything like that. I was just on a small set most of the time. But for that stuff, it was working flawlessly. I do have the numbers wrote here. Axsoon lists 350 meters and a latency of up to 60 milliseconds, which to me, in real world use, was fine. You will know if that's fine for you. Every single person is a little bit different. For some reason, in the world of filmmaking gears, we have just had the really bad end of the stick when it comes to monitor usability. I don't know why smartphones and tablets have just got extremely good and usable when it comes to touchscreens, yet every single monitor you buy is kind of really clunky and hard to use and bad designed, with the exception, I think, of the Blackmagic Video Assist. But because of that smart monitor nature, let me tell you, all that just disappears. The only way I can describe it is it's just like using an iPad, an Android tab, or a smartphone. You just tap, it just works, it's responsive. You're never like double tapping anything. There is a lot of options inside the menu as we've gone through all the features, but it's laid out really well. And if you wanted to see what it's going to be like, just download the Accsoon Smart app onto your smart device right now. It's free and you can test out the usability right there, as this monitor functions just the same. I actually think they've done an excellent job of not making it too overwhelming, considering that you can live stream, capture to cloud, monitor LUTs, waveforms, you name it. This does like pretty much every single video feature that you can think of inside a monitor, and it is still really simple, and within minutes you understand where everything is. Right, so the big question is, are the M7 and M7 Pro monitors actually worth it? Well, when it comes to monitors, for me, in my opinion, they need to tick the big 4 boxes. Number 1 is the quality of the display. Number 2 is the build quality of the monitor. Number 3 is battery life. And number 4 is the feature set. And the M7 monitors deliver on all 4 of these massively. You get the colour accuracy of a pro level monitor at budget monitor prices. You also get really good battery life, not some power hungry device. It has more features than any monitor I can think of due to its smart monitor nature. And finally, the build quality is solid aluminium, it's designed really thin and does not weigh much at all. The M7 and M7 Pro monitors are going to be my go-to monitors moving forward, and it's an easy recommendation if you are in the market for a 7-inch monitor from an amateur all the way up to a professional set. And if you're wondering the best way to mount any 7-inch monitor onto a camera rig, watch this video right here.